Yeah, girl. Did I start the stream? I think I did.
My screen says live. We're ready.
We're ready to go. Let's do it. Give people some time to come in. Oh, I should have worn my pre-classic shirt. I know why I didn't wear it. They gave me a large.
Oh, and yeah, based on what we know about your javelin throwing, you're no longer a large.
I finally recovered, so I'm good to go. I'm
How
good
long
to
was your shoulder sore?
about, a day and a half.
Okay.
It wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad.
Till 30 minutes ago.
Correct. Correct. So, how was it for you? How was pre-class for you?
It was so fun. I want to hear, like, I know it was your first time back in a while, so I look forward to hearing about that, because last year when I went for Junior Olympics was the first time I'd been back to Hayward since World Championships in 2022. And I know we both have like such strong memories being there.
Yeah.
That you feel like yourself when you walk in.
I enjoyed it. I can't say the last time I went was when I competed at the for the World Championship. So just how nice the stadium is. It was like my first time actually really walking around the stadium. My first time seeing sitting in the stands. I didn't know the seats was cushioned, all the seats. That was kind of dope. But other than that, it was just a great experience to be a fan and be able to watch and be able to sit front row and center and watching the athletes do their thing and compete real hard. And I enjoyed it. I had a great time over the week. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Yeah, I agree. It's so fun to be at such a good track meet. And 12,000 ticketed spectators.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Phenomenal. Like last year at the Diamond League final, Prefontaine competed with an Oregon football game. And so it was just so nice to see the stands full, like they always are for Prefontaine Classic, after a little bit of phenomenal performances at the Diamond League final last year, but less spectators than we had this weekend. It's just like, it's so good. The schedule is so good. Like they do such a good job of the flow of the meet. And like, I loved every second of it, for sure.
And I love like just seeing people that I competed with when I was competing. So I saw a lot of people that I haven't seen in a long time. For example, Katora, that's my girl. I haven't seen her in so long, and we trained together. So being able to watch her do her thing was really neat and cool for me to sit back and just observe and watch her do her thing. So other than that, like, it was cool to me.
Yeah, agreed. Women's Hammer being the first field event of the day at Hayward, obviously every athlete wants to be in front of the whole crowd, right? And they have competed the hammer on the infield before, but at the Prefontaine, in such a short window of time, it's just not really possible to have 3 throwing events on the infield. But that little hammer area outside the oval at Hayward, it's where both American records have been set, at the Olympic trials in 2021. So it's Lance Deal's home, one of the legends of hammer throwing in the United States, built this facility, and you could just get up close and personal. It was so fun for me to go down to the little bleachers, and I got to talk to the Tracktown USA Kids Club parents about who their kids had walked out with, because one of the little girls that then got to be on the Jumbotron, on the experience board with Cameron Rogers, she was like, I don't know, Brooke and Cameron. And I was like, those are the past 2 world champions. And mom
didn't know.
legit, and mom was like, what? You know, like to be able to be an ambassador and like let the families know that like your daughter just met like the best athletes in the world at this event. And they're just proud of their kid for like walking and being brave and like meeting, you know, these really strong, amazing women. But to turn around and see so many spectators like on that rail for the hammer was also super cool. It was such a good atmosphere out there.
I was able to walk by and I saw the introductions and things like that, and it was cool to see the fans standing over the rail watching, and that it kind of gave me like we was at like a dome type vibe, to where like I know in the New Orleans Saints they have like a little walk area you can walk around. Kind of gave me that dome type feel, where the fans can stand over the rail and watch, and the throwers get the fans involved and they can watch. So I thought that was pretty cool to see.
It's so fun. I love like watching everybody watch the hammer because it goes so far, like it goes almost 80 meters, and like everybody's heads, like as the throw happens, just like going at the same time. It's so fun. Yeah,
that's too cool.
And the Deanna Price scream can be heard around Hayward Field for sure as well.
She's a screamer. Yeah, she sounded like me when I be jumping.
Did you scream in the air? Why don't I not know that?
I did. I definitely screamed in the air. It got worse. You know what I'm saying? It was cool at first, and then like as I got older, I was like, why am I screaming so much? But I was winning, so I left it alone.
Why is this happening?
Yeah, they started trickling over in practice and things like that. And I was like, dang, I guess that's my new thing. Now I started telling people, like, telling my athletes, you got to scream. You got to get it out.
That's hilarious. The one time I tried to yell, it was in the weight room. I was like, let me just practice this at Purdue, like in college. And I remember so distinctly how hard my lifting coach laughed at me. Never again.
Why are you screaming? What's wrong?
Never again. If it's natural, it works. If you're trying to force it, it's just not okay.
Kind of goes if you kind of like. Yeah,
mine was cringy to say the least.
And the good thing about it is you at least you tried. I think everybody should try to scream at least once. It's almost like getting over the fear of getting the clap. Because I was like, when I first started, I was like, and then like the when people clap is some people that can control it to where you don't let it take over your emotions. And then some people can just like, yeah, I'm gonna use it to my advantage and get my, my adrenaline pumping. So I feel like it's kind of like getting over the fear of starting to clap. You want the crowd to help you out, but then you don't want to overdo it to where you miss up type thing. So
you got to be confident in both scenarios. You got to be ready for it.
Definitely.
Because I've tried. I've gotten the crowd going when I was not ready, and
you messed up, huh?
Yeah.
I see a lot.
You just hang your head leaving the runway. Like, I'm so sorry that everyone.
Hey, y'all, I wasn't ready. But I see it a lot in high school, and I just it makes me laugh because when I see them getting the clap involved, I automatically know, yeah, they about to foul. They just doing something because they know, it's popular in track and field, and they get the crowd going and they go out and foul. I just laugh. I'm like, these kids is funny.
They're too fired up.
They won't do it. They scared to do it, but I watch other schools do it, and I'm just. But if the confident ones, like at state, those are the kids that do it, and it's always the guys. It's never the girls. Never initial the clap in high school. It's always the guys, and if they're jumping for it, I mean, shoot, go for it.
Right. Well, and at Hayward Field specifically, I don't know if you've experienced this before. Sometimes it doesn't accelerate as you're coming down the runway. So you gotta take some time with the Hayward crowd and teach them, because they used to, at Old Hayward especially, all the distance fans would just like clap at a single pace. Yeah, like around the oval as people are running. And then for field events, like I really have had to like teach them when to get faster.
Yeah, they automatically. Yeah, you got yeah. And I taught a couple times overseas, not as much in the United States, but overseas they kind of got the rhythm of the clap. But yeah, we gotta teach Hayward Field how to.
Mm-hmm. And they get it. They get it pretty quickly. And they actually like jumped right in when Joe was
Yeah,
taking his last throw.
yeah.
In the shot put, like Joe Kovacs, like everyone cheered. And then it wasn't until he was like starting his throw that they started the clap, but it worked. Like they like got caught up. It was really, really good. Yeah.
We got them though. We got them. We're gonna take care of them. We're gonna get them right.
So our weekend started at the Lexus Community Night at Hayward Field.
Mm-hmm.
It was so fun. The goat of the long jump taught me how to long jump. Brittany, I did not believe you. I was like, oh, for sure, I got all the sand out of my shoes. No.
You're going to always carry some sand home. It don't matter. It's that event. You just can't. It's your souvenir. Like you can just like at the meets, I just take my shoe, my spike, and just go over to the toilet or the trash can. Just after the meet, I done did this at the meet. I done did this after the meet. I done did this when I got home. I'm going to always have sand. It just doesn't matter. So you just got a taste of what I had to deal with for over 10 years.
I love the beach, but I don't want to bring it home with me.
That much, not that much. But did you enjoy yourself though?
I did. I want your honest feedback on like my posture in the air. I feel like if I could get off the ground, I have the basics like almost there.
So I looked at the photo that was posted, and the one thing, and you remind me of a high school kid that got the whole got the whole thing back there. Wow, that was cool. But
that was really fun. I don't know.
But in the long jump, you don't want to stick your chest out. Okay. You want to stay tall, and that's kind of the only thing. And your knee drive, it was lacking per se, but with some practice, I think you're well on your way. I think you surprised yourself, to be honest.
Yeah. But I mean everything that I said, like my body and the impulse in the javelin, like it's I've heard people say that the javelin is the only run, jump, and throw in track and field, because you like jump, like you impulse across like laterally down the runway at the very end of the throw, like right before you actually throw. And I am not good at that part. Like I have had to try so hard to like actually leave the ground in that phase. And my right foot is always like pawing back at the ground because my whole body is like, get back to earth. Like we're not supposed to be up here. So that's exactly what happened in the long jump. Yeah. Like I need a lot more speed, maybe less body weight, and confidence to just stay in the air. Yeah.
Boom. It just hits.
I appreciate all of your tips. It was really fun. I was honored. Yeah. What do you think tell me about javelin? You were sore for a couple days, but
I was sore for a couple days, but I have, you know how you try something new, you just have a new respect for something. That's how I felt about the javelin. Like I didn't never say it was an easy event. I never knew it was an easy event, but I didn't know just how technical and how precise you have to be, like holding it and hips and just the feet right over left over right. Like I didn't understand the gist of it. It just was a lot to take in for a practice, but I enjoyed it. I think I made a stick one time in the dirt, so I'm proud of myself for that one. But besides that, it was kind of complicated. And yeah, now I see why y'all do a lot of shoulder type exercises, because I was bored, like just right up in here and then like right there.
Mm-hmm. And you don't really think about it. You're like, I'm just gonna throw something, and then it just pulls on your body in ways that you don't expect.
It does, and it, like my mom always say, you work muscles you ain't never worked before. That was one of them, and I think that's why I was sore, because I mean it's muscles I never had even tried to work. But overall, you're a great coach, though.
Well, thank you. Same to you. Same to you. And you really just have to throw your athlete to the wolves, like to let them learn on their own.
Yeah. It's like riding a bike. You fall,
Yeah.
but you get back up and try again.
You figure it out. And like we both got competitive with ourselves about it. And I loved that very much.
I definitely enjoyed it though.
Me too. And then we got to watch the kiddos. You raked the pit for me, and you like helped out some Tracktown USA Kids Club kids.
I actually, in all my years, I barely raked, but I did rake for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Made sure they was smooth. I saw a lot of potential in some athletes too, which was really cool. The older kids, I saw one kid do a hitch catch, which is kind of like you running in the air, and it's not really common in that kind of that age range. So that was cool to see. But Eugene, like they got some great athletes. Oregon, they got some great athletes coming up, and it was fun to watch them run down and do the 100-meter dash. And I think one kid ran the 800 in like 2 something. It was talented group of kids. But I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed watching them kids.
And there was one girl, I don't know how old she was, but she ran the 100 in like 15 something seconds. Like she crushed it. Miles ahead.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
They were going good.
I know. And same in the turbo javelin. I like never threw the turbo javelin, and it's actually really hard to do so well because it's super easy to make it flip over itself. Like it's small enough that like just the aerodynamics are much more difficult, in my opinion, than a real javelin. And a lot of them, like Oregon has the javelin at the high school level. So some of them have thrown turbo jav in middle school, and they're like in clubs where they get to throw jav, and they were like, can we throw a real javelin? No, not today. But exactly, like there was one girl especially that like she kind of was real friendly and happy to be there and like supportive of her friends, and then it was her turn and she blew my mind, like just right hand so far away from left foot and so far, like clean. It flew nicely. Like it was so beautiful. And then she's like, do you know my cousin? She went to Montana through the javelin. I was like, I do. That's so cool. So she had an advantage, but she was like absolute team player as well and just clearly loved it. And that's it. That's all you need. Yeah.
Oh, no, that's dope.
It's very fun.
That's special. So, what did you think about? What was like one of your top events to watch at this time this year?
Men's shot. At the end, like it's so easy to focus on Joe Kovacs throwing 2 23-meter throws, which is like maybe the 5th or 6th time that's happened in world history, like to have 2 marks over 23 meters in a series. But Peyton Otterdahl had his 4th meet in a row over 22 meters when he only broke 22 last year for the first time. And then Chukwuebuka Enikweki of Nigeria. He went to Purdue, so we're fellow Boilermakers. And he's been knocking on the door of 22 meters for a long time. He's not quite there, but he threw 21.91 for a new Nigerian national record after only being 2 centimeters away from his old record in LA. So like deep competition, without the big name Ryan Krauser. Just like really, really, really fun. And at the end of the meet, so there was like a lot of energy, and Joe talked about like stealing energy from other parts of the stadium in the press conference the day before. So that was absolutely happening. And it was just a phenomenal competition overall.
For me, I would have to say watching that 10K world record by Beatrice Chebet from Kenya.
Yeah.
She was absolutely the last like 800. She just like took off. I mean, it was amazing to watch. Like I've been following her for a while. I'm not too really big on distance, but I love watching a good distance race. Sometimes I watch a marathon, but watching her compete and break that world record was pretty dope. And I think they said pre-fun, and I think that's like the first or second world record on that field already, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it was cool to watch.
Well, and the So we were making signs in the Tracktown USA Kids Club area, right? And we had a mom who made a sign for the athlete that broke the 5K world record at Prefontaine last year. So like that's who the race was quote unquote set up for. And then for Beatrice Chibet to do it anyway. Like that sport, like that is sports. And I love that so much.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Surprise, I feel great. I'll go ahead and break this world record. Like that's so fun.
That was too dope. I love her. I actually love watching her compete. Such a great competitor.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, we have a special guest. Olu Alamjoki Jr. He's a 2016 Olympic triple jumper for Nigeria. And we're going to let him on in and let him.
Yo, what's happening? How's everybody doing?
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm good. It's good to hear from you.
So we want to know about your Prefontaine experience from a media perspective this time. We gave our perspective from being a former athlete and still current athlete and just being able to come back to Hayward Field. So from a media standpoint, how did you feel? What was your experience?
Oh man, I feel like it's a loaded question, but I feel like Pre does a really good job of like including the media as if we were the athletes, you know. Between the insider access and I don't know, just a lot of like, it's just there's a certain level of respect that if you're in the space, it's given to you as if like you're one of us, so to speak. You know what I mean? So it was really cool. It was really cool to be able to like, I've been to a couple of other different meets as part of members of the media, and there's a lot more restricted. There's a lot more access being restricted and a little bit more gatekeeping. But with Pre, it's just like we were all bumping up shoulders with everybody. So it was really cool to have that like transparent level of access with everybody.
Nice.
Yeah, it was exciting. It was cool. I'm looking forward to going back for sure. Yeah.
So what was your time in the media 400? Because that's another part of the inclusion of the media.
So I am proud to say that I ran. It's going to sound like I'm making a bunch of excuses, but stay with me. I ran like 59:07 with no spikes, no warm up. After a 12-hour day of work. And a 6-pound weight vest went on.
Okay, you were one of the Amorpho wearers.
Yeah. And you know what the thing is? I only put the vest on because they said they were going to remove 5 seconds from my final time. So I'm like, I really should have got like top 3 in the meet because I wore a vest, but they didn't take my time off. And then they had the nerve to put it on athletic.net that I ran out the 5 seconds. So I'm like, come on, man. Like, come on. I could drop in real life. If I actually cared, I probably could drop like a 53, you know, something. But dang, it's gonna be like 59:07, and it doesn't even have an asterisk next to it.
Now it's gonna follow you. Now everybody gonna look it up like, man, last meet he ran 59:07.
But hey, you know, it's been 16 years since I ran the Open 400, and if you know, you know. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know in your heart what you're capable of.
I know what I'm capable of, and
I used to jump into, Brittany and I both lived in Chula Vista, the Olympic and Paralympic Training Center down there for a long time. And we used to have competitions that didn't have enough athletes like in the meet to make it like a legit result, right? So I have World Athletics discus results that are like 33 meters. Like, same. So embarrassing.
Yeah. Well, I guess the difference is like at the very least, I wasn't known as a sprinter, but like to have a thrower with, you know,
yeah.
You understand.
It makes you tough. Like the confidence is real to withstand that. Yeah,
for sure.
I never got added to an event, but I sure wanted to throw that shot put one time. I would just probably did a little overhead.
Yeah.
Overhead shot.
Again, I mean, at this point, if they're gonna put me wearing a weight vest on there, you might as well be able to spin around and chuck it too, like it's a hammer.
Exactly. They're wrong for that, though.
It's grind.
Become a spectator sport immediately. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I can't. 400. That's kind of pushing. I didn't like running past 200 meters.
Yeah, and you know, I felt like they could have done like a media 100.
Yeah, why they
Makes
throw y'all?
sense.
Why y'all throw y'all in the one that gives you the almost the most lactic acid?
Boy, and when I tell you, I came around that I went out. My race plan was pretty simple. Like, okay, I know there are going to be some tryhards in this race. So these
Yeah.
dudes coming out in speed suits and spikes. I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to hang on to whoever goes out. And then I'm start running like about 150. I'm like, I'm good. About 175, I'm like, nah, this weight vest is doing the most. So, yeah,
You
like,
thought that weight just did, huh?
oh man, that thing caught up to me real quick. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like when they do events like that, where it's just kind of hop in and do whatever you want to do, they got to put some asterisks next to it or something, man. They got to put some stars. Like, this is not a real result. But we're all Olympians, so I think we all like are really prideful about whatever result goes next to our name.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I don't think I really wanted that shot put thing next to my name, to be honest. I think I just said that because I just wanted to throw it. I don't know that I was even trying to do that.
Yeah, just mark it and like step on the toe board. Oh, it's a foul.
Right.
Yeah.
So, can you describe like the fan atmosphere for someone who's never been to like pre-classic or Hayward Field?
Yeah, for sure. So I've been to Hayward. This is my third time going to Hayward, and every time from the very first one I had, which was like 15 years, I think 09. If you like track and field and you know the significance of Hayward Field or University of Oregon as a whole, you know that like obviously Eugene is Tracktown USA. But for me, like what's always really, really dope about going to Eugene is that when you pull up, if you are wearing track pants, people are going to ask you what events you do. Now, for context, like when I was in college, we used to travel to all over the country. And if we were traveling as a team, you'd have people who'd see us moving as a team. We obviously look athletic. They'd be like, hey, are you guys like a basketball camp or something? Like, it's like, yeah, we're a co-ed basketball camp. Yeah. And so they'll ask random questions like, who are you? Where are you from? Like, what sport are you doing? And that's if they're not based in Eugene. But when you get to Eugene, it's like, it's not a matter of, are you a basketball team or are you a football team? It's like, oh, what event you're here for?
Yeah.
And, it's really, really cool. Like, I don't think I've been anywhere else in the world. And I can say that definitively between all my travels to Europe, Africa, all these places for track. Like, I've never been to a place in the world where you pull up as a track athlete and you're recognized as a track athlete first. Yeah. It's really, really cool. And then, so all the fans, they're already plugged in. Everybody cares about every event. That's not always the case everywhere you go. I know Kara and Brittany, you guys have been on the circuit sometimes where, I'm sure Kara, like as field event athletes, there's three. First of all, let's acknowledge that three of us are field event athletes in one conversation right now, right?
Yeah.
And we know what it's like to go to a meet and people are like, what event do you do? And they're like, oh, I'm throwing or I'm jumping. They're like, oh, well, I'm here to watch the 100, None of that in Eugene. It's everybody wants to see every single event and you really feel valued as an athlete. So from both as the spectator and also like being within it, it's really cool to go to Tracktown USA. You got to go. If you've never been in your track, you consider yourself a track fan, go to a high school meet out there, like go to a dual meet like I did in college. It doesn't matter when you go or why you go. You're always going to feel included as a track fan out in Eugene.
For sure. And exactly right. Like go to a high school meet, go to the Junior Olympics, go to like any junior USATF event. And like those kids are so invested in each other's careers. And that's just like what carries through to the elite level in the spectator like relationship with the athletes at Hayward. And you're exactly right too. Like I, as a javelin thrower, right, like I have the advantage of being from the Pacific Northwest. Those are like a couple states that have javelin in them in the US, which is like super rare. So it is the only place in the world where someone will come around a corner, like on the mezzanine levels of Hayward, and they're like, Kara Winger? Yep. And my life is made. Like it's literally the only place in the world that happens. And for that to happen at Prefontaine Classic this weekend was like so selfishly wonderful to feel like you still belong in the sport, right? Yeah. Like we've been out for a little bit. Like, am I still relevant? Do people remember? Like you so quickly get away from the competitive years that like it can be scary to think that you were a has-been. And that's just not ever going to be true at Hayward Field, which is so cool.
Yeah. And
asked like 4 times was I competing that Friday night. You gonna compete? No. No.
So you still look fit though. That's good. That's a good thing. So
I don't feel
yeah.
She maybe got taken out a little bit by the javelin, but could still.
Or, couldn't barely hold my sign up, but
Hey. Ooh. Well, it's cool. It's cool. We were jumpers, not throwers. It's all good.
It's all right. I use my legs, not my arms too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're exactly like that's such a compliment for the spectators, your fans, to be like, we still want you to be out there. Like we still care about you.
I'm glad they care.
It's cool. That's the cool thing about track and field, though. It's like it's such a tight knit community from like globally. I just feel like in Eugene, everybody knows. Like it's different where you have track fans all over the place. It's just concentrated in Eugene.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're going through the airport and you might have the bib on your bag that says Eugene or whatever, and people might say, "Oh, you were competing in the Diamond League or you competed at the games." Like that's cool, but that happens like once every blue moon. Whereas in Eugene, it's like everywhere you go. Like it's so cool. It's so cool.
Yeah.
You can't. Like second to going to the Olympic Games, I feel like Tracktown USA is like the next place to go as a track athlete.
1,000%. Yeah. So you got to watch all the events, cover all the events. What was your favorite moment of Prefontaine Classic? And give us a bold prediction for the rest of the season.
Okay, so I was actually just talking earlier today about like what are my bold predictions, because after pre so many things happened like within the first few minutes. My favorite moment would have to be the first event that I caught when I got there, which was the women's 10K world record right off the bat, like 28:54 was it, I believe. That was crazy. That's just insane. And I actually just had pulled up and got a front row seat and was watching the race. I like watching all track events, but like I was watching the race up close. And I just happened to have I'm a photographer, so I always have a camera with me, but I was really watching as a spectator at that point. I just started shooting. I didn't realize I was capturing a world record. And that's really, really cool. That was really special. And it was so underrated because it was technically not a part of the Diamond League events, but because it was, we're still a world athlete. It was the Kenyan trials, I believe. So we still have world-class athletes running. It's just to be able to be right there in that moment was really, really, really dope. That was cool. And that's actually ironic. That's like the second world record I captured this year alone, which is kind of crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Sound like you the person that need to be around.
Hey, I guess so. Hey, talking to you, IOC, you want to see some? Curious. But jokes aside, actually, I wasn't joking. But seriously though, in all seriousness, it's really a privilege to be able to capture that up close. And it's so unexpected, which kind of goes to the magic of Hayward Field, which they say Hayward magic is a real thing, and it is. That was probably my favorite event of the day. And as far as bold predictions go, I have a few. The men's triple jump that wasn't contested at pre, but I have to show love to my triple jumpers. I think Jaden Hibbert is, and this is probably not as bold, but I really feel like he's going to either challenge or be beyond 18 meters pretty soon. Like the way this kid is, and I call him a kid in the most endearing terms because he's approaching it like a kid who's just learning the event. That is the most, like I say that in the highest regard, because you're coming here without preconceived notions. You're just trying new things that shouldn't work. You're going from short approach jumps and jumping 1760, like breaking gravity. That's really cool to witness. I think he's going to probably go over at least 1790, but probably well over 18 meters. And we know how PRs in the field events go. It can just be a big chunk that just happens out of nowhere. My next bold prediction, and I'm giving more love to the field events, is Joe Kovacs. I feel like he's going to throw, and I'm saying this, he's going to probably throw like 23:40 this year. I'm putting that good energy out there from. I see, like, as a person who's also an athlete who's competing into his 30s, and just seeing the like joy with how he speaks about the event and also the progression he's had. I think he had I remember hearing a story that he just thrown like 2290 a bunch of times as an opener, and then he went over 23 meters at pre. I just feel like he's in a position to really throw far. I don't know the shot from a overly technical perspective, although I love watching it. I just feel like he's ready to launch one out there. You can't ever count out Ryan, of course. So I'm not even going to talk about the head-to-head. I'm just talking about performance alone. Joe's going to throw over 23:40, and I would love to see it. Yeah, Kara.
So he said at Prefontaine in the press conference that so he and Joe and Ashley have a shot put ring in their backyard, and he's thrown 23-13 this season. His PB is 23-23, second best all time. And he said in this press conference that the mulch that he keeps hitting in practice in the backyard is a meter further than he's ever thrown in competition.
Yeah.
I love how understated that was. And I feel like people haven't heard it loud enough, because that is so bold and such mind blowing. Everyone's like, Ryan Krauser 24, Joe Kovacs maybe.
Kovacs. Yes,
it's
don't
crazy.
count out Joe. He's a hitter. And I think because he's so humble and he's so calm, but when he's a beast in the ring. And yeah, I did catch that. He's he keeps throwing right at the edge of the mulch of the yard. It's just yeah, he's ready for something big. And I say 23-40 as a conservative estimate. So that's my bold prediction. Go, Joe. We here watching.
Yeah, because he was he was on every throw.
Yeah.
He was on. He was on.
Yeah, we were right there. We were right there watching it. And
yeah,
it was
it was out there. I'm talking about out there every single throw. And you could just tell that I'm pretty sure Joe watches film. He's gonna go back and assess that and gonna be like, it was just probably something this small that was keeping him from where he really want to be at. But he has 2-3 weeks before the trials, and do some fine tuning and see what he can do.
Yep. And as a field event athlete, seeing, I know we'll give some love to the runners too, the track events too, but I mean, just as a field event athlete, when you see those incremental gains, you just kind of know that the next one is not going to be incremental anymore. It's just going to be maybe 20, 30 centimeters can happen just like that. And I would love to see it. So, yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. I guess if I was going to throw a prediction for the track events, though, just because we have to show some love to track as well, I feel like Kenny might chart. This might seem like an outside pick, but Kung Fu Kenny's ready to drop some times, and don't be surprised if something that's a little shinier than silver this time.
I think he's his whole headband thing.
Yes,
I like that he has a new headband every time he competes. Yeah, that's pretty dope. But no, he's taking notes, and he's on some heels. He's not playing this year, so he's on a mission and he knows what he wants. And I think he's going to be somebody that we have to watch.
Yeah,
for the trials.
Anybody who dares to sleep on a Tokyo medalist is just silly.
If you could run and earn a medal in Tokyo when it's you have paper cutouts for crowd members, and then you have Paris, which is going to be the complete opposite of Tokyo. God bless Japan and what they were able to do considering the circumstances. But now we have a regular the first Olympic Games since the COVID was going on. This is going to be I just feel like the performances are going to be ridiculous.
I agree. Everybody's going to step up a notch from Tokyo. Like you said, it wasn't really crowd related. Crowd really wasn't really there. But Paris is going to bring out a lot of different types of people that they're going to be ready, and they know this is it right here. So yeah, just for sprints, it's going to be crazy. It's not open at all.
No.
It's not open.
There's not a single shoe in, Yeah.
It's not. It's some events that it's just going. You just going to have to wait and see and show up.
Yep.
Bunch of.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Yard Naguse, though, I had this secret desire in my heart to see him walk away with the victory of the Bowerman Mile, and I was really sad when he didn't. But he's right there. He's right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I learned about that mile, I did not know there was beef in that mile the entire time. I was in the press conference. I was like, "Oh, they beefing. Oh, it's a problem." Oh, okay. So I had to tune in. I was like, "Oh, damn, I must have missed all that."
Yeah. I mean, as they say, it's good for the sport, right? But
it's good for the sport. It's good for the sport. I mean, sprinters do it. We have sprinters that are beefing.
Yeah.
I guess they want to call it that. They're beefing, but
yeah,
it's really good for the sport. And I'm looking forward to what happened in Paris, because I think somebody gonna want that revenge of what happened.
Yeah, for sure, and especially. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, there's just so much time to rub elbows in a mile. Like the beef, I feel like just gets so much more deep when you have all that time with each other. Terrible. Yeah.
People don't realize that like distance running is a contact sport. Like for real. I mean, I've done from high school. I mean, not at the pro level, but at high school, running every event from like the 55 to the 4x8 myself, actually to 5Ks really. We get a little spoiled. Not saying this is easy. I'm not discrediting anything, but we get our lanes in the sprints, we get our runway in the jumps until someone steps on and runs into you. Like it happened to me in 2014. That's another story. But we get our own space, and but in the distance events, man, like you got people spiking. Have you seen a distance runner shins?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Like you get spiked up and all those different things. So I think for them to have kept that whole Bowerman Mile, close, intense, but civil, it speaks to the caliber of athlete we're talking about. I know a lot of people online want to see, literally want to see blood, or want to hear trash talk. And, a little bit of that is cool. And I think, again, great for the sport, but it's even better for the sport to see these people who are 3 athletes who are at the top of the game in the world, but also respectfully racing close. It can get ugly really quickly. And I'm glad they kept it clean.
Yeah, keeping it in the lines, that's what rules are for, and that's how you definitively prove that you're the best, by operating within that structure. Yeah. But I cannot wait to see the heat ramp up between Jakob and Josh Kerr, and then Yared Nuguse to be like, "Boop, let me just get by you."
That part. I think we're all secretly waiting for that.
Yeah, kudos to them for wanting to continue to compete against each other, despite the whole animosity that they got, the whole beat that they got. Because most athletes, I know when I was competing, a lot of athletes if that person was there, they didn't want to go there because they didn't want to race against them, because maybe they didn't feel that they were ready or whatever excuse they had. But kudos to them for continuing to line up against each other.
Yeah.
And hopefully they'll continue throughout the year to line up against each other until we get to the Olympics, and it's whoever's in the best shape, whoever's ready the most, and let's watch them compete and duke it out for that goal. All 3 of them. I never ran from competition, and so I love seeing. Yeah, they're going through that, but they still want to line up against each other and see, go head to head about it.
Yeah, for sure. Hats off to great competition always.
Yeah.
I think it's so easy. It's so easy to not realize exactly all that's going into these moments when we watch outside, especially if you're not inside the sport, let alone being a field event athlete versus running. It's a lot that goes into it. And yeah, I too, if I was to pick a horse in the race, I would love to see Yared just kind of sneak in there. And because he's
just the silent assassin. They let y'all have it. Then next thing you know, hopefully it's that.
It's such a comment on different motivations for me. The demeanor that kind of all 3 of them have is slightly different. What are they focused on when they're not at the track, and how does that play into how their performances come out? Because we see that all across field events for sure, but I think it's easy to forget, since everybody's running, that they're different human beings too. And at the press conference, Yared was asked to assign a Pokemon character to all 3 of them. So personality wise, there's just such a stark difference. Yeah. And yet they're all such phenomenal mile runners, 1500 meter runners, and so decorated. So yeah, I see that kind of everywhere too. And my Yared Nuguse equivalent in the women's discus is Lagi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
What makes you tick? It's so different from what it appears other people get to motivate them, and it works so well because you're world champion.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. And the cool part about that whole conversation is, I actually met up with Ollie for the first time. Actually just right after pre, which I get the same cool, calm energy. And as far as Yared, the Pokemon, I actually asked him the Pokemon question at the press conference.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
I was thinking because everybody's talking about the rivalry, and no one had asked Yared a question throughout that whole conversation. I'm like, you forget that this is also a world class athlete right here, but more so, me being an athlete, I think I'm always interested in the person first, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because before you were an athlete, before we became Olympian, before American records, we were people. And I too grew up loving Pokemon. My interest stops after like the first 150, but I still was like, I was still just like, I really wonder, like, we're talking about 3 people, and Yard loves Pokemon, so who he would assign, and I think he got it spot on too, because Jakob is way more fiery, and Josh he's more cool, but Yard put himself as Bulbasaur, and I always thought Bulbasaur was like the eccentric one. But the cool thing about Pokemon, if you know about it, I'm getting really, really geeky, so bear with me. Like it's rock, paper, scissors, so one defeats the next, which defeats the next. So what is one your strength could be your weakness here, and I think just that could be a really cool storyline going forward into Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, great question. Kudos to you. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Research.
Yeah. Well, and similar, because when you're talking about like these people that are the literal best in the world, I was telling Brittany before you joined us that like I went down to the Women's Hammer to talk to the families of the Tracktown USA Kids Club kids that like had escorted the women to the hammer cage. And the girls, like the little kids, don't know who these people are, right? Like they're just happy to and super nervous to be around a stranger. That's like totally normal. So they came over to the bleachers and their parents were like, who did you walk out with? Like, tell us about her. And the one girl was walking with Cameron and Brooke. Cameron Rogers, world champion 2023, and Brooke Anderson, world champion 2022. And so I was like, Mom, those are the last 2 world champions in the Women's Hammer. And she's like, what?
Just casual. No big deal.
Right. And I love that absolute saturation at the pre-classic in every single event. Like those are the best athletes in the world. And that's true of almost every Diamond League, but pre is just a whole other level. So for Cameron Rogers, who doesn't have the biggest PB in the field, to come out with a Diamond League record, for them to see kind of the opportunity that this is to have Women's Hammer at a Diamond League competition and take advantage of it was like super, super cool.
Yeah, for sure. And that's, again, Hayward magic. It just brings out the best of anybody who shows up there. And to your point about saturation, yeah, that's like we go to a lot of times. I don't think people realize you go to a lot of these circuit meets and everybody is essentially world class, but we don't have such a high concentration of top 5, top 8 athletes filling up the entire field from front to back. So that's really cool. That was really cool.
And personality-wise, motivation-wise, like Cameron's like one of the most serious of the women, like in the competition. Like her game face is kind of on another level. And Deanna Price, American record holder, like I said to her in LA, I was like, I want to depict you as the golden retriever of the Women's Hammer. And she, like, classic Deanna, like super high-pitched laugh, was like, that's absolutely me. Yeah. So they're all so different and all so tight at the top of their literal, like, world ever best event. It's amazing.
Yeah, for sure. It's a special place to be, man. It's really special. Yeah.
Nice. So Kara, did you feel the same energy in Hayward rooting for your peers as you did when you competed?
Absolutely. 100%, especially with Joe's last throw and his first 23-meter throw when he threw 23.03 early in the series. That was huge. Also, Valerie Allman threw 67.70 on her 6th throw. So in that final round, top 3 at the Diamond League. That entire side of the stadium, like often it feels like women's discus can get lost like right behind the pole vault pit, right? Because like everybody's watching vault, but when she unleashed that final round throw to be the winner and it's on the big screen, people went crazy. And it was really cool. Because again, like I just watched everyone's heads, like watching the discus go. So it's maybe even more as a spectator, right? Like you get to be immersed in the group of people that are paying the closest amount of attention to the event that you also love and drawing on the energy of all the other ones around it. So same, if not better, to be there as a spectator than an athlete.
I definitely agree. I felt the energy watching. By the way, I love watching Valerie.
Yeah.
Her whole like ballerina background is so cool because she looks like a ballerina when she throws. But I definitely did feel the same amount of energy. I was watching the triple jump and it was going back and forth. It took the ladies a minute to get warmed up and get, where it needs to be. But the crowd was tuned in to them when they asked for the clap. The crowd was clapping. Felt just like I was there. I'm in the crowd clapping with them. But I agree with you. I've definitely felt the same type of energy that when I was competing. That same thing out there.
And how is interacting with the fans? I have a really fun story that I'll share. Yeah.
It was cool. You know, I walked around and heard a lot of whispers. That's Brittany Reese. But some came up and spoke. Some of them, you know, whispered, walked by, pointed. I sat in the stands. I think I was sitting by an older lady, and she didn't realize who I was. And then she just everybody kept coming by, taking pictures. She was like, "Am I by a celebrity?" I was like, "No, you just, you know." And she asked my name. I told her. She just, gave me one of the biggest hugs, and it was just cool just to be around the fans and spectate and just enjoy being there, clapping with the fans and things like that, giving the athletes that energy that they needed.
Very cool. In terms of like field event specific fans, right? Not everybody, but some people like make shirts and you can buy them, and that's how you support your field event athletes, because maybe sponsorships aren't as lucrative, blah blah blah. So Janae Casnavoid, she's the first ever Native American woman to medal at the World Championships for track and field in the Hammer. So she sold shirts on Facebook. I'm standing down at the bleachers, like by the Hammer, and there's this man in a Janae Casnavoid t-shirt. Like, he bought it on Facebook, and she doesn't know him. Like, there's so many times where like your family's buying your shirt, you know?
Yeah.
This was like a member of the Native American community, like supporting her fully, like was so excited to be there watching Janae. And I interviewed him. I'm going to post it on Facebook. I'm like really excited to tell that story. And then I went up to the very top of the bleachers, like in the second story, to watch the discus because I want to see how far it goes. And it was clear to me that the pole vault fans were like down at the bottom. So I was like, let me get up where I know the discus fans are. And there are these two high school girls like sitting there just, like exclaiming at every single throw. And I was like, you're my people. Like, can I talk to you about this experience? Like, you're kind of hard to find, but I know exactly where to find you. And there just is so truly something for everybody in track and field when you know where to look. So that was my fan experience for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice. Other than that, I enjoyed it. Round of applause for pre-classic.
So good.
They got a poetry snap. It was art being put down at pre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great performances. 12,000 fans.
Crazy.
World
absolutely
record.
Engaged the whole time. Yeah.
Front to back.
Front to back.
You
hit it off with a world record and kept it rolling all the way to the end.
Yeah.
So kudos to the athletes as well. Great performance. And now we'll be at the Olympic trials next.
Yeah.
That's gonna be exciting.
Yeah, ready to see everybody head-to-head competition, blow for blow. It's going to be a battle.
It's going to be so good. And like, speaking of post-COVID, right, you were talking about like Tokyo to Paris, like the different atmosphere, the different energy. 2021 trials was also weird. Like, there were some restrictions, right? That there weren't as many fans as maybe there would have been if it wasn't right after COVID. So I think if we had 12,000 fans at pre, it's going to be pretty ridiculous.
It's going to be.
Can't wait.
So I guess we'll see each other then.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate the conversation. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye. Appreciate you, B.